There's a moment, quiet and irreversible, when you stop waiting for the world to understand you. The audience vanishes, the applause fades, leaving only a silence that sinks cold into the bones. This cold forces an admission. No one is staying up at night for your pain. No one is coming to save you. But stop. This is not a tragedy. This is the opportunity to begin. Machiavelli once said, "The world does not reward suffering. It only responds to the power you create." The moment you stop waiting for others to care is the moment you stop performing and begin building. From that second, you are no longer the victim. You become the player, the lawmaker, someone who needs no permission to exist. You act so your existence cannot be ignored. On this path, you will learn silence becomes not abandonment, but cold discipline. Rejection becomes not a wound, but a map. Solitude becomes not fear, but the foundation of power. This is not empty philosophy. This is a Machiavellian handbook to turn the world's indifference into an absolute advantage. The illusion and the awakening. When we are young, we are taught a sweet but dangerous illusion that if we hurt enough, someone will notice, that if we work long enough, someone will recognize us. Then reality strips the veil away. The world is far too busy to measure your pain. Tears have no market price. Your sacrifices do not show up on anyone's profit ledger. No one counts the hours you lie awake. They care about only one thing: results. Machiavelli saw this clearly. He wrote, "A ruler cannot build his throne on pity. Power stands on fear and respect, not on tears." Pause. Imagine an employee at a big company. He stays late, helps others, sacrifices quietly, drop by drop, waiting for the day his boss will finally notice. Month after month, nothing changes. His name never appears on a report. His effort dissolves into silence. He burns out inside invisibility until he changes his strategy. He stops telling stories. He turns effort into numbers, sales reports, project milestones, concrete outcomes. 3 months later, leadership can't ignore him, not because they suddenly care, but because he has made himself a link too crucial to cut. That is a turning point. From "please see me" to "you cannot ignore me." From the one who waits to the one who commands. A boxer doesn't need an audience to urge him on. He needs to knock out the opponent. An entrepreneur doesn't beg for funding. He proves his product has 10,000 users. An artist doesn't plead for recognition. He releases a piece that silences the room. The world must look, not because it wants to, but because it has no choice. The issue isn't whether you deserve notice. The issue is whether you produce results that make people unable to turn away. If you have felt unseen, burn this into your bones. You do not need to be looked at to have value. You need to build so that your presence cannot be dismissed. This is a Machiavellian truth. No one gives you the spotlight. You must erect the light yourself. No one writes your name into history. You must carve it with blood, sweat, and results. If no one is pricing you, create a price they must pay. The great ones did not start with applause. They started amid indifference. Alexander was once an obscure prince. Steve Jobs was once pushed out of his own company. Muhammad Ali was mocked as a loudmouth. You may be ignored today, but if you turn every drop of sweat into outcome, tomorrow those who overlooked you will have to stop, look, and admit. So ask yourself, are you living to be noticed or living to become unavoidable? The forge of cold discipline. There is a strength that requires no noise, no boasting, no stage lights. It is strength forged in silence. In those quiet mornings when others still sleep, when they are dreaming, complaining, hunting excuses, you sit down and begin to temper yourself. Machiavelli observed this in those who rule. They keep discipline when others abandon themselves. Sooner or later, they seize the advantage because power is not a sudden jolt. Power is repetition, persistent, relentless, cold. Imagine an unknown writer. He writes for 2 hours every morning for 30 days. No one cares. No shares, no applause, just an empty room and the scratch of his pen. Then on day 31, he releases his first manuscript. Thousands of downloads, a publishing deal. Some call it luck, some call it genius. But you know the truth. It is the fruit of disciplined silence. When you are silent, the world assumes you have stopped. But in truth, you are accumulating. You are sharpening every weak edge. And when it finally erupts, the world can only stand and stare. Machiavelli would smirk. The one who controls habits controls fate. This truth is brutally cold. No one respects someone who cannot keep a promise to himself. You can speak 1,000 philosophical lines, narrate your hunger and your dreams. But the moment you break a promise to yourself, all your words turn into hollow echoes. You don't lose because opportunities are scarce. You lose because you break the pact with yourself. A real warrior doesn't need applause to proceed. He proceeds because discipline has woven itself into his blood. A true entrepreneur doesn't wait for inspiration. He works because the system he built doesn't tolerate sloth. Cold discipline requires no immediate witnesses. It only requires repetition. Day after day, no mercy, no exceptions. One habit established, then another, until they interlock into an unbreakable skeleton. Ask yourself, how many times have you reneged on your oath to yourself? And how often did you expect others to honor you? Do not flaunt your philosophy. Live it. Do not declare your discipline. Let change speak through your eyes, your gait, your results. The power of hidden intent. Real power does not lie in shouting what you are about to do. Power lies in the fact that others cannot predict your next move. Machiavelli repeated this in The Prince. Let your goal be vague as mist. But when you strike, strike like a hammer. If others can guess you, they can control you. But if they are always uneasy about what you're thinking, you hold the initiative. Picture a small startup. No noise about their plan. No bragging. In silence, they secure manufacturing contracts, lock down the supply chain, prepare for crises. Competitors laugh, convinced they'll amount to nothing. Then one day, the product launches. Competitors freeze. No counterstrike is possible because everything was decided in the dark. That is the strength of hidden intent. The one who lays out every card too soon is always the loser. The wiser you are, the quieter you stay, and the louder your surprise will sound. When was the last time you announced something before you did it? And did you actually live up to the words? Machiavelli understood the crowd's obsession to categorize you. But once you become predictable, you become controllable, a pawn, not a player. Ambiguity makes others uneasy. Your unpredictability is an invisible shield. Not everyone deserves to know what you are building. Not everyone should see your pain, your plans, or your targets. A king never shares every calculation with his subjects. A warrior never lets his enemy read the next strike. As long as others are guessing, you are free. When they think you've stopped, you're silently moving 10 miles further. When they mock your silence, let them laugh. When you appear, that laughter will collapse into trembling silence. That is the pinnacle of strategy. No announcements, only arrival. History offers proof. Julius Caesar hid his intent to cross the Rubicon. No one believed he would dare. The shock carried him to the throne. Had he declared his move, he would have been stopped at the border. Machiavelli would whisper, "The strongest strategy is silence, and the strongest blow is the one unseen." Are you talking too much? Are you handing weapons to others with every word you share? Are you living to explain yourself instead of letting results explain everything? Pity fades, power remains. There is a common mistake. People think exposing emotions makes them stronger, that venting earns comfort, that showing wounds brings pity. But Machiavelli would shrug coldly. He who turns pain into a performance hands a weapon to others. Every time you expose weakness to the wrong person, you remove a brick from your own fortress. Look at the world today, full of people turning pain into content. They post every exhaustion, every scratch. For 10 minutes, they receive virtual hugs, but 10 days later, they lose something far more valuable: respect. What do you want to be remembered for? Endless complaints or results that silence a room? Emotions out of control are cracks in power. A ruler never cries before his enemies. A warrior never whines on the battlefield, not because they feel no pain, but because they know exposing only strengthens the other side. True warriors turn wounds into discipline, into endurance, into silent drive. They don't need an audience for their pain. They need results to answer. The world does not respect those who sell pity. The world bows only to those who turn pain into power. Strategic self-respect is knowing what to keep hidden. It is swallowing certain emotions and transmuting them into silent fuel. It is letting the world see only results, never your panic in the dark. You don't need to turn emotions into a show. You need to turn them into stored energy so that when the time comes, you strike with precision and the world is shaken. Pity fades, power remains. So next time you feel the urge to share pain, stop. Ask yourself, do I want to hand people pity or a result that silences them? Struck rejection as a compass. Rejection breaks people more than anything else. A shake of the head, a door slammed shut. Many see it as a knife to the soul. But Machiavelli would say differently. Rejection does not kill you. It shows you the path you should not take. You feel pain because you place your worth in someone else's hands. But they're only saying, this is not your place. Go find the right one. Picture a job candidate, rejected 7 times. Each time, he feels smaller, but instead of complaining, he adapts. He reviews his answers, analyzes his weak points, sharpens his skills. On the 8th attempt, the door opens, not because the world adores him, but because he aligned himself with the right door. Are you hurt because you were hated, or simply because you were in the wrong place? Machiavelli reminded us, better to be rejected early than to live forever in the illusion of being welcome. Rejection is a correction. An arrow off target is not failure. It just needs adjustment. Rejection is a mirror. It reflects the weakness you must sharpen. It cuts off the wrong road, forcing you to find the right one. Alexander failed early sieges. Edison was dismissed after thousands of failures. Each rejection was a map. Not this way. Try another. Rejection does not make you smaller. It makes your direction clearer. Instead of asking, why didn't they choose me? Ask, what must I sharpen so I cannot be ignored? You can see rejection as a wound or as a compass. The wound makes you cry. The compass makes you move. Machiavelli would smile. The wise do not curse the closed door. They use it to find the one that leads to the throne. If you are being rejected right now, do not treat it as the end. See it as a map being drawn in front of you. The language of power. Power does not need noise. Power needs one line at the right moment. Machiavelli saw this. The more you speak, the more you reveal the map in your head. Once others read that map, you have handed them your advantage. A wise ruler keeps his words few but heavy, like a blade drawn only when it must cut. Do you speak to create movement, or merely to fill the silence? Picture a manager drowning in endless meetings. Then he changes. Each week, he speaks only 3 lines. One to set the goal, one to define the action, one to lock the deadline. The team starts to operate more powerfully than ever. You do not need to talk more. You need to talk less. But every word must compel others to act. The language of power is not volume. It is precision. It is silence with weight. It is a single cold sentence that makes the room hold its breath. A boxer does not need to threaten with words. One precise punch silences the arena. A leader is the same. No long arguments required. One sentence. By tomorrow we finish. And the whole team moves. When you speak too much and nobody follows, that is not their failure. It is yours. Your words lack weight. Every time you speak, you spend power. If you speak too often, your words become hollow. If you speak at the right moment, your words become a dagger. Machiavelli would whisper, do not let your words become wind. Let them be the blade driven into truth. History shows Napoleon delivered short speeches that made thousands shout. Churchill offered no rosy promises, only, we have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat. A nation rose from that. You do not need to leave many words behind. You need to leave one sentence people will remember for life. Speak half as much, but let every word be an implicit command. Let every sentence be one nobody dares to dismiss. The pragmatic alliance. No one goes far alone. Even the coldest rulers need allies. But Machiavelli would warn, don't choose friends by feeling. Choose allies by interest. The most durable alliances rarely begin with friendship. They begin with mutual need. Two powers see that by cooperating, both grow stronger. If they oppose, both grow weaker. So they clasp hands. No oaths till death. Only one demand, clear interests. During the Renaissance, Italian city-states constantly switched sides. No one loved anyone else. There was only one question. What do we gain? That pragmatism kept dynasties alive for centuries. Affection fades fast. Interests keep the bond. In everyday life, it is the same. One freelancer writes well, but can't sell. Another sells well, but cannot write. An alliance forms. One brings clients. The other delivers a product. Revenue rises, risk drops. No ceremony, just clarity. Who does what? Who gets what? Machiavelli would smirk at those who make friends by emotion. Feelings fade. Balanced interests outlast pretty promises. Ask yourself, who is covering your weak flank? And whose weak flank are you covering? If there is no exchange, it is not an alliance. It is a drain. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. Jobs carried vision and sales. Wozniak carried technical power. Alone, each was a misfit. Together, they created Apple. Alexander the Great forged alliances by marriage and mutual interest, turning enemies into partners. No friendship required, only shared gain. Do not look for people to comfort you. Look for people who will build with you. If you want to go far, write down 3 capabilities you need at your side: negotiation, technology, finance. Draw the map for your alliance. You can go fast alone, but if you want to win, you need a team. The final vow. In the end, the truth does not change. No one comes. No one stays up at night for your pain. No one stands behind you to push you forward. This is not a tragedy. This is good news. Because when no one comes, you stop waiting. When you stop waiting, you start acting. When you act, you become the only author of the laws that govern your life. Machiavelli never believed in salvation from outside. He believed in cold forging, quiet discipline, in the power of the one who needs no permission to exist. You do not need a pat on the shoulder. You do not need praise to know your worth. You only need yourself. When the world turns its back, make that back a wall to spring from. When people ignore you, turn that indifference into fuel for your focus. When no one hands you power, build it with your bare hands. Picture a crowded room. No one notices you. Then you enter. No introduction. Your presence alone makes the room go quiet. That is the moment you understand you have become impossible to ignore. Machiavelli would smile coldly. People do not remember those who sit and wait. They remember those who rise and build. Who will you be in this story? The one who waits or the one who builds? By now, you've stared directly at reality. The world does not care. Inside that indifference lies a rare chance. The chance to stop living like someone asking for permission and start living like someone who builds. Do not expect anyone to protect you. The only one who can protect you is yourself. When you step away, carry a vow, not to me, not to anyone else, but to yourself. Whisper it. Say it aloud. Write it below. From today, I stop waiting. I stop asking. I keep my word even when no one is watching. I work even when the room is empty. I build even when the world is silent. I will turn indifference into strength. This is not philosophy. This is the rule of the game. The rule of those who understand power. No pity required. No applause needed. Only self-respect. If you agree, leave one line. No one came. I built anyway. That is not just a comment. It is a community vow. A mirror for all of us to see each other through resolve. One day, you will return to these comments and see thousands of vows like your own. You will realize you are not alone. Not because someone comforted you, but because there is a community of builders who chose the same path. Someone out there is exhausted from waiting for attention. Share this with them. Not a console, but hand them a handbook, a map to rise on their own. Machiavelli would say, power is never granted. It only comes to those who dare to take it. So don't just listen. Act, comment, share, live this vow every day. One day you will look back and see, no one came, but you rose. You built, and that was the beginning of power.